Welcome to the Anchor Your Retirement podcast. I'm your host, Barbara Gullen, sounding like a broken record, desperately hoping that this podcast I don't think will be obsolete, even if the shutdown does get resolved with the federal government sometime soon. What do you think, Tony? My beloved co host, Tony Shore.
Well, yeah, it's not looking good for the government shutdown to end anytime soon. But even if it does end, which would be a good thing,
It'd be a
I think
great
I
thing.
think what you've got lined up for us today is going to apply to any employee, especially federal employees
Hmm.
who are furloughed or have lost their jobs. So there's a lot of lessons for all of us in here, but especially furloughed government
Yes.
workers. But yeah, I think it's been a crazy time. I really feel for the workers that are considered essential but aren't getting paychecks. And, they're talking about not paying some of the workers that have been furloughed that they're not going to, if they're not working, they might
Right.
not pay them. I mean, they're floating that idea. I would hope that wouldn't happen.
I
Um,
mean, in a perfect world, if you've been furloughed and you don't have to report to work, at least you can do something in the gig economy or
yeah,
explore other options to bring in
sure,
some income. But
sure.
there are a lot of people in this situation that are having to report to work and they are not going to get a paycheck. And
Yeah.
that is a gut wrenching thing to me.
That's terrible. I think
Um,
that's awful.
for those of you that are in that situation, I wanted to take some time today and offer up some resources that I've found to help you out. Now, there are a lot of federal credit unions that are offering short term, no interest loans to its members. And even if you aren't a current member of these credit unions, you can join the credit unions and then be eligible to find out about the assistance. Places like the United States Senate Federal Credit Union, the Congressional Federal Credit Union, the Commerce Department Credit Union, Navy Federal Credit Union, all of those and many other federally associated credit unions are offering zero interest loans for 90 days for up to $5,000,
Wow.
sometimes up to $6,000. The Federal Credit Union has the furlough relief loans of up to $10,000
Who
as
has
well.
that? Where
That is
can
the Congressional Federal Credit Union.
Okay.
And it's here's the thing, politically, when we're talking about all of this, I am neutral. I am neither Republican nor Democrat, so my job is to find resources for you.
Yeah.
I will tell you that Senator Bernie Sanders' website has put together a really, really nice list that people can reference
Of resources.
of resources.
Yeah,
And
there's resources out there and some lists out there that people can access. And I'm glad you've kind of combed through some sites and gotten some of these for our listeners out there. And I think it's really good to know what your options are.
yes, because there are some organizations like the Federal Employee Education and Assistance Fund. They offer one-time grants, but those grants are only for $150. And you are only eligible to apply for the grant if you are making less than $60,000. So $59,999 or less is your
Mm.
federal salary, or if you're a member of NAFRE, National Association of Retired and Federal Employees, that pay could be up to $75,000. But that's a one-time grant. They're asking you to only apply once. There's places,
But
I mean,
every little bit helps. I
every
mean,
little bit helps.
when you're on
And
fixed money.
and remember, for those of you that have littles at home, there are diaper banks throughout the cities. I know that there is a national diaper bank network. In Kansas City, there's a nonprofit organization called Happy Bottoms that will help provide diapers. I know, isn't that just the cutest name?
I love that. Happy bottoms. I
Yes.
mean, what more can someone ask for? I mean, that's pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then with Feeding America, there are food banks throughout the United States that can also provide assistance during this time. It's really hard to think about the fact that these are people who have dedicated their lives to federal service. Many that got furloughed may just be starting out their federal career if they made it through the craziness at the beginning of the year where all of the contractor and temporary workers were let go. I know some of them were pulled back. Um, but, there are resources out there, and I am sorry personally that you are experiencing this right now. I think that, understanding there are 700,000 plus federal employees that were furloughed, meaning that they are not reporting to work, but we are going to have to use our tax dollars to pay them for all of that time where they weren't working once the government opens back up. There's almost as many, if not more, that are considered essential enough that they have to report to work, but they aren't getting paid. And these are people like air traffic controllers and that kind of, and that group of people.
Yeah.
So, from an advocacy standpoint, if you're wondering what you can do, whether or not you're a furloughed federal employee, call your congressman, call your senator, call their local office, and call their offices in DC, because interestingly enough, it's mandated in the Constitution that Congress continue to be paid even when the government is shut down. They are all still at work.
Yeah.
Call them, tell them that you want the government to reopen.
Yeah.
We were talking off air about
Tell
how
'em do their
crazy it
job.
is.
Do their jobs.
Right. I mean, you and I were talking off air about how it's crazy that they keep adjourning while the government is shut down. So it is just prolonging this shutdown. As we're recording this on Friday, October 17th, Congress is not in session.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
make your voices heard. It is we
Tell
the
them they
people.
shouldn't be allowed to take a break until
They
they
shouldn't.
figure this thing out. I mean,
Realistically,
yeah.
that
I
needs
mean,
to be something that's
yeah.
passed.
In 2025, so far, over 200,000 federal employees have left their jobs, either been not counting the furloughed or the government shutdown.
Right.
That's before the government shutdown. And now they're talking about more federal employee layoffs, and we
Mhm.
have all these people furloughed, and we have the people that took the buyout and have left their jobs wanting their paychecks.
Right.
The buyout checks haven't come. So it's a mess right now, and they need to figure it out. And it's both the Democrats and the Republicans who are to blame in this.
Mhm.
Both parties are trying to blame the other. They need to get together and figure it out, in my
I
opinion. That's
I agree wholeheartedly with that.
yeah.
Something else that federal employees need to understand is that if you are not getting a paycheck, all of your flexible spending accounts have been suspended, whether that's for medical or for childcare expenses. So whoever you're sending the bill to, or whoever, they're not processing those claims.
Hmm.
And those claims are going to be put on hold until the government reopens.
Yeah.
Now, if this goes as long as they are saying it might, and I'm really hoping it doesn't, I want federal employees to understand that open season is still going to start that second full week of November. They are, as I understand it right now, because the open season and the benefits are funded by a trust and not by an annual appropriation, they're still in business and they're still going. To the best of my knowledge, they are not going to extend an open season if the shutdown starts cutting into open season. So you are still, if you are locked out and can't access your federal computer or get into the system in any way, you're still going to need to figure out benefits and if you need to make any changes to those.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that you've worked with so many people over the years, Barb, federal employees specifically, and
Mhm.
understand federal benefits. So, if our listeners do have questions or need help with their federal benefits, I know that you're more than happy to schedule a time to meet with them, right?
I am because you know what? Right now, they might might just need somebody to sit there and listen and to provide some resources and help think out of the box a little bit while they're going through all of this. They can always go to our website, bgwealthmanagement.com, or you can call us at area code 913-553-6222.
All right.
Schedule a complimentary consultation. I understand that you need help figuring out some of the basics and things that we take for granted. Unfortunately, like we talked about, was it last week? Most Americans are not prepared for a $400 emergency, and not getting a paycheck is way more than a $400 emergency.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's why it's so important to build that emergency fund. And we can do in the future, maybe we'll do a whole show on how to
I
get
think we
started
should.
building, how
I
to get
think we should.
started. Yeah, there's the 136 rule about getting a 6 months
Mhm.
of expenses saved up in an emergency fund, and this is exactly why. In case you're unexpectedly out of a job, or your house has to have a new roof, or there's an
Mhm.
emergency. But yeah, in the stats and the studies all show, like you said, the average American, the majority of Americans have less than $400 in savings.
They
Which is
do.
terrible. Yeah.
And, the
Yeah.
the next thing to remember is if you're furloughed, it's hard because I'm sure, money is a big concern. It's funny how, you don't think about money until there's not enough of it.
Yeah.
And taking care of yourself is a priority right now.
Yep.
Get outside, get some fresh air, take a walk. As the millennials like to say, go out and touch some grass
Yeah.
because
Touch
it
some
really,
grass.
you
Yep.
know, um, if you're sitting there at home waiting to get called back to work, don't just sit there and watch the news. Please, for the love of a sandwich, turn the TV off for a little while.
For the love of a sandwich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell I was around toddlers for a lot of my life? Anyway, you have to find something that if they
Yeah.
repeat it, you're not embarrassed.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but you know, do something for yourself.
Mhm.
There are a lot of colleges and universities that are offering free classes right now. They do it a lot, but now's the time where you can take advantage, learn a
Yeah.
new skill, learn about artificial intelligence.
It's a great idea.
Um, you know, take a look at the bucket list and see what you can do that doesn't add to your budget, but find a way to be productive and not just waiting for things to happen. Because we can pretty much anticipate when people go back into the offices, when the federal government reopens, you're also going to be in a place where, unsurprisingly, morale isn't going to be the greatest.
Yeah.
So,
That's
take
true.
care of yourself. The best way to make a change in the world is to make a change in who you are and in how you're responding to things.
Yep.
But in the meantime, call your senators, call your congressperson, let them know that you want them in session until this is resolved.
Yeah, exactly. And go to opm.gov.
Mhm.
That's a site that has furlough guidance.
Yes,
There's
that's the
also
Office of Personnel Management, by the way.
Yeah, and there's also the TRICARE website has information on the impact of the shutdown on
And
TRICARE
that would
health
be good that's for
plans.
military
Yep.
families.
Yep.
And then there is also a website called the Federal News Network. They have
Yes.
some good resources right now
Yeah, and that's just
for people in the midst of the shutdown.
federalnewsnetwork.com. Yeah.
Yes.
And under the Senate pages, if you go to sanders.senate.gov and then
Mhm.
resources for federal workers, that's a really good, like you said, list.
Yep.
So there are a lot of resources out there, or at least some, and
Mhm.
some may apply and work for you, some may not. But Barb, I think it's great that you brought this to our
Well,
attention.
and respectfully, this is not the time to be prideful. You know, if you can get
Right.
a zero interest loan for 90 days, beats the heck out of going through the TSP loan process, especially since it can take up to 60 days to receive funds on a
Wow.
TSP loan.
Okay.
But that is a resource. Again, remember that if you're in a place where you're needing cash, go the route of a TSP loan rather than a hardship withdrawal. Now, if that's general advice, I'm not specific. If you've got
Sure.
questions, call me first because I am an advisor. I'm not your advisor. But the hardship withdrawal is going to cost you penalties and income tax. And then they are also going to suspend your ability to participate in TSP for 6 months,
Yeah.
which means that you're not only giving up your contributions, you're giving up the matching contributions
The match
as
and
well,
the growth that you would
and the
get
growth.
during that time. It's kind of all
Exactly.
suspended. So that's a great point. I'm glad you mentioned that. Now, once again, if our listeners have questions or want to confirm some of these sites, how can they do that?
They can go to our website, bgwealthmanagement.com, or you can call us at area code 913-553-6222. Select the option for appointments and scheduling. Christina will take care of you, get you either on my calendar or on the calendar of one of our other fiduciaries, and we'll help you start sorting out this bowl of spaghetti and see if we can help you stay afloat until the government gets their act together.
There you go. All right. Thanks, Barb. And listeners and viewers, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of Anchor Your Retirement with our host, Barb Gullen.
We'll see you soon.